Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to take those complex sources you send us and turn them into the knowledge you need right now. And today, we're tackling something it's become so fundamental to how we work and think. I'm talking about generative AI chatbots. The tools we use every single day. I mean, for so many of us, these things, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you use, they've become completely indispensable. They feel like a private thought partner. It's where you draft sensitive emails, analyze data, brainstorm code, maybe even ask really personal questions. It feels like a safe mental scratch pad.
And that feeling, that's the illusion we absolutely have to shatter today. Our mission for this deep dive is urgent. This is not a hypothetical. We're pulling out the most critical, immediate dangers that are, frankly, hiding in plain sight. This isn't about some future superintelligence. This is about what is happening this week, right now, with the data you type in, how it's being stored, shared, and potentially used against you.
Okay, and the core conflict here, the thing that just hits you right away, is that when you type something sensitive in a business secret, a legal strategy, a health concern, you're not just getting an answer back. You are creating a permanent, storable, accessible piece of data.
Exactly. Data that the AI provider and who knows who else can use, often without you even knowing about it. The convenience has become a liability.
So the data is permanent from the second it leaves my keyboard.
The moment. And the sources we looked at show overwhelming evidence that users have lost all control over their data immediately, the second you hit enter.
All right, let's unpack that loss of control. Because it starts with the biggest assumption we all make. I delete a chat, I assume it's gone forever, wiped from the servers. I have control, right?
That assumption is just.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally misplaced. The reality is there is, quote, no real privacy in the way we think about it when you're dealing with these big models.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so for a really concrete example, our sources pointed to this federal court order in mid-2025. It compelled OpenAI to retain all ChatGPT interactions.
All of them.
All of them. And the mandate was explicit. It included the chats you manually deleted. It even included those temporary chats that aren't supposed to be logged.
So a conversation I thought I wiped clean weeks ago, one with maybe proprietary research in it, it's still there.
It's still there, sitting on a server.
But how? I mean, I delete files from my computer, I empty the cache, they're gone. How can a court order reach back and grab data the user actively chose to get rid of?
Because deletion is, in many ways, an illusion. The data isn't just a line in a database that you can erase. It's in logs, it's in backups, it's already being used for model training runs. What the court order really does is force the company to admit its infrastructure is built for indefinite retention, not for user control.
So it can be subpoenaed?
It can be subpoenaed long after you thought you exercised your right to be forgotten. This one fact, it just completely undermines any idea of user control.
Okay, so the data is kept maybe forever, even if we don't want it to be. So the next question is obvious. How do we even check what they have? How do we audit what they're doing with it?
And that's the classic black box problem. It was all over the source material. These systems are just inherently opaque.
What do you mean opaque?
Well, you, the user, you can't see the logs. You have no idea who inside that company has accessed your specific queries.
Yeah.
You're almost never given a clear, plain language explanation of how long they're really keeping it. And this is the most critical part. Once your data is used for model training, which happens almost instantly, there is no real way to get it back out.
So if I ask ChatGPT to, say, critique a new marketing slogan for my company, that slogan is now, immortalized inside the model's brain? I can't extract it, even if I delete my whole account.
Exactly. It's been baked into the digital intelligence of the AI,
Right.
Which is why the key takeaway for you, listening right now, is so important. Feeling private is not the same as being private. That clean chat window on your screen, it's just a cosmetic feature. The real data is already being processed, logged, and updated behind the curtain.
Okay, let's shift from that general feeling of privacy to the really urgent risks for people at work, professionals, entrepreneurs, anyone dealing with things that have actual corporate value. Let's talk intellectual property.
This is where the risk becomes financial and competitive. The sources state that when you share draft ideas, proprietary code, confidential business plans, you relinquish control. You're basically just handing over your competitive advantage.
But what's the legal mechanism there? I mean, if I want to share that same information with a human consultant, I need an NDA, I need contracts. Why does just typing it into a chat box mean I instantly lose control?
It all comes down to the terms of service, the ones nobody ever reads.
The click wrap agreements.
Right. And those terms often grant the AI provider a license. a perpetual, worldwide, royalty-free license to use anything you type in to train and improve their model.
So, you're giving them the right to take your secret sauce and feed it to a system that your competitors can then use.
Yes. The source material called it a truly Orwellian scenario for IP. They get your valuable data to improve their commercial product, but you are still legally on the hook for what you put in. Your secrets become their training fodder.
That is a huge legal vulnerability. But the risks go even deeper than just IT, don't they? There's the whole issue of legal protection for conversations.
We have to talk about this. It's the immediate loss of traditional legal privilege. Things that are normally protected communications like between an attorney and a client or a doctor and a patient. That protection does not apply to an AI chatbot.
Okay, walk me through a scenario. A company's in-house lawyer is getting ready for litigation. They use ChatGPT to help draft a legal brief, analyzing a really sensitive corporate strategy. Is that conversation now discoverable by the other side?
According to the findings highlighted in the Times, yes, absolutely. That conversation is not shielded.
Why not?
Because the AI is a third-party commercial entity. It's not a legal confidant protected by law. So there is no legal shield to stop that data from being exposed, from being subpoenaed, and from being used against the company in court.
That's a staggering shift. We are trained professionally to protect privileged communication at all costs. To think that one quick interaction with an AI tool can just void decades of legal precedent. It's one of the biggest immediate threats out there today.
All right, let's pivot. We've talked about the explicit secrets we type in. What about the silent danger? What the AI infers about you without you ever saying it.
This is the risk of inference and profiling, and it's a core function of modern AI. It's not just recording text snippets. It's mapping patterns across all of your interactions over weeks, months. It's extracting your behavioral tendencies, your unique writing style, even subtle things like your keystroke timing. So if I always ask about, I don't know, a certain type of financial report or use a certain tone, or I'm always debugging code at 2 a.m., the AI is building a profile of me.
A very detailed one. It can be used not just to identify you, but to infer really sensitive traits. Things like your anxiety level, political leanings, financial situation. Stuff you never typed out directly.
So the risk isn't just one text getting exposed. It's that the model is building this granular psychological profile of me, creating an identity that's way more detailed than any one piece of data.
Precisely. The aggregation is the danger. They're building your digital shadow.
And this extends to our physical location, too. Even if we never type in our address, how does that even work?
It works through indirect clues. You might ask for directions between two local landmarks
Right.
or reference a local issue. You combine those clues with the metadata they're always collecting, like your IP address, timestamps, cross-platform data, and your location becomes discoverable.
That's unsettling.
It is. We saw documentation that national intelligence agencies have already flagged these tools for this. They noted that even keyboard patterns and linguistic packets could, in theory, be used to geographically locate users. It's a real security concern.
And to bring this back to the core privacy problem, that Stanford study we looked at found that this kind of data collection is on by default.
That's right. Unless you explicitly hunt down the opt-out setting, which is often buried in menus, the AI tools are collecting your input for training. So if you haven't gone through that process, your most sensitive details are already being fed back into the model.
The burden is entirely on the user to stop it.
And since most users have no idea, the collection is effectively universal. It's the ultimate imbalance of power. The default setting is exposure and profiling.
Okay, let's hit the final frontier of risk here. What happens when the data leaves the control of the AI company itself?
We have to talk about external threats, because storing all this data in one place creates the threat. Think about it. These companies are sitting on a massive treasure trove of sensitive conversations, legal strategies, health symptoms, financial data.
It makes them a huge target.
A prime target for hackers, or even for rogue employees. The old cybersecurity rule applies. If it exists in storage, it can be at risk. By centralizing all this sensitive data, they become exponentially more vulnerable.
And it's not just about their main firewall, right? The architecture itself has other weak points like third parties.
The net is cast extremely wide. You have third-party vendors, subcontractors, data analysts. They might all have access to input data, especially as these tools get integrated into business software. Once your data leaves your device, you just can't reliably track its path or who's seen it.
What about anonymization? The companies always say they anonymize the data.
Right, and we need to dispel that myth. They might strip your name and email, but serious research has shown again and again that so-called Re-identification attacks are highly effective.
Explain how that works. How can data without my name still identify me?
Think of it this way. They remove your name, but they leave the time of day you asked a question, the specific topic, and your general location from your IP address. A hacker can take that anonymized data and cross-reference it with public data voting records, social media profiles. If you're the only person in your zip code who asked about a rare medical condition at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, you're not anonymous anymore. You've been de-anonymized. It's a technical claim that often fails in the real world.
This is a lot. The system is porous, the data is permanent, legal protections are gone. So the only real conclusion is you have to assume you're compromised the second you type anything.
That's the only safe position to take right now. We're past assuming good faith. Anything you type today could be in a data breach, a court filing, or a competitor's AI model tomorrow. You have to take immediate, proactive steps.
Okay, let's get specific. What is the action plan? What does our listener need to do, like right now?
We've outlined 4 critical immediate steps. First, you need to immediately submit a formal request to the AI provider. Use their official data request page. Request access to all personal data they have associated with your account. You need a record of what they admit to holding.
Okay, that's step 1. Why is step 2 a separate action?
Because you must then submit a separate and very explicit request to immediately delete all that personal data from their servers. Don't assume that just deleting your account is enough. You have to trigger the formal legal deletion process.
Got it. And the third step is about creating a paper trail.
Absolutely. Documentation is critical. Keep copies of every request you send and every confirmation email you get back. This is your legal evidence that you formally exercised your rights. Don't rely on them to keep these records for you.
And finally, how does all this documentation give you a legal backstop?
It creates leverage. If a company fails to comply with a deletion request, especially in a place covered by laws like GDPR or CCPA, your formal actions signal that you're serious. It gives you the legal footing you need if that data ever surfaces later. It proves you did everything you could to have it removed.
That's a great way to try and rebalance the power, at least a little bit, back toward the user.
The absolute reality we have to internalize is stark. Your sensitive data can be stored indefinitely, used for training without your consent, exposed to breaches, it lacks legal privilege, and it's being used right now to build deep profiles of who you are.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Because the risk isn't just the data being exposed. Our sources also pointed to the long-term, quiet erosion of your own skills. This uncritical reliance on AI can become a cognitive crutch. You start outsourcing your own basic ability to analyze and write. So the question we'll leave you with is this. Now that you know the immediate risk to your data, your IP, and your legal standing, and you see the potential long-term risk to your own independent thought, is keeping that AI account really worth it? Is it worth the risk to your privacy and to your own ability to think critically without help? That's what you need to decide before you type your next secret into that box.